Welcome to the Wednesday Match Play, your weekly connection to the biggest and best brands in golf. On this show you will learn more about the latest golf fashion trends, hear from LPGA and PGA Tour players, get advice on planning your next golf getaway, and much more. Broadcasting live from Santa Rosa, California, please welcome your host, On the Tee, Ricky Potts.
Zach hosts from the Back Tees podcast, and while he doesn't play from the back tees, his content is incredible. The show is based in Quebec, Canada, and each week there is a weekly preview, power rankings, and a section called All About Tiger. On this episode of the Wednesday Match Play podcast, we talk more about the show, learn more about Jerry, Nolan, and the rest of his team, and discuss how they differentiate themselves from all the other golf podcasts currently available. Zach might not play from the tips, but he's on to something here. This was a fun episode. Let's jump into it. Zach, welcome to the Wednesday Match Play podcast.
Thanks so much for having me, Ricky. I'm glad to be a part of it.
Well, I'm excited to learn more about you and your brand and everything that you're doing from the back tees. And it was funny, I played golf last weekend, and the guy I played with hits the ball so far that he should have been playing from the back tees. But start by giving me an overview of From the Back Tees. What is it all about, and what sort of content are you sharing? And
So I started the site more with the idea to give people a different perspective on the game of golf, and more for the younger audience, where we could joke about golf. We could almost insult the players, not in like a bad way, but we could make fun of these guys. We could crack jokes. We could talk about what rules we like, what we don't like, what we want to be a part of it. We add all sorts of different aspects, and that's basically it. We're making it a more edgy golf site.
well, golf needs that, I think, and there's only so many things that you can talk about, and I swear if I see another what's in the bag post, I'm just going to scream.
Oh my God, it's terrible.
Right? And it's after every single tournament.
Yeah,
and
we
quite
get it.
frankly, whatever Tiger's playing, I don't think that should be given to me, because I can't hit what he hits, because he plays a different game than I do. So
Yeah, Justin Rose with his Hanma, what's in the bags? I don't think I could afford those clubs, so...
let's jump into the staff. You got a couple of guys working with you, so tell me a little bit more about Jerry, Nolan, and the rest of your team.
Yeah, so we're a pretty big growing staff. I guess I'll start off with Jerry. He's more like my right-hand man in the whole thing. He co-produces the podcast with me, co-hosts the thing. He's a great voice for radio, as people could probably tell. And he's actually a caddy at Bandon Dunes Golf Course out in Bandon, Oregon, one of the bigger golf courses out there. Then next, I'll start off with the only other guy who works behind the scenes. It's my friend Mark from Montreal as well. He does a lot of the back-end computer stuff and setting up the store, etc. Then we'll get on to, I know, your favorite guy, Nolan, who's our Tiger expert, or in-house Tiger expert, who writes for every single tournament. He gives a detailed preview for Tiger's upcoming event, which is great stuff. Then each week we have a tournament recap post by Craig. He's our Kiwi living out in Ireland. I know, a little confusing. And then we've added two new guys. We have Dan D'Annunzio. He's doing our DraftKings picks, a lot of daily fantasy stuff. He's a self-proclaimed expert in the field, and he gives some top-notch picks each week. And then last but not least, we have Tucker Booth, who's out in Hollywood. He's actually big into reviewing golf books, and every single week he comes out with a new article called Rappers Don't Golf, which there's a big backstory to that. He's going to offer some great content, some great interviews. He already released one with Rick Riley last week. So yeah, that's the team.
That's cool, and he's in Hollywood. He's not too far from me here in Santa Rosa. I know it's a little bit of a drive because California is a big state, so anywhere you go in this state, it seems like anywhere in Santa Rosa is 15 minutes, but anywhere else in the state is about a 3-day drive.
Yeah, it's a pretty big state.
So you mentioned Tiger. I'm his biggest fan, and I like to say that Tiger doesn't move the needle, that he is the needle. So tell me a little bit more about this All About Tiger section on the website.
Yeah, so he definitely moves the needle, and that was the thinking behind starting a all Tiger section. I know every site obviously covers Tiger more than anyone else, but we felt we should make a section devoted just to Tiger, whether people like it or not, even though obviously everyone does because it's Tiger, whether they admit it or not. And so, yeah, we have any viral content that comes out on Tiger, any news about Tiger's love life or his arrests or his dominance out on the golf course, all of it you could find there.
His arrests. Don't remind me of that, please.
Yeah, you got to take the good with the bad, you know?
Well, that's a good point. We got some good here last month in April, didn't we?
Very good. Very exciting. I don't know if I'm over it yet.
I don't even know if it's real. Like, it still doesn't feel real. Like, I was watching it, and I was sitting in the same chair that I'm in right now watching it, and about 3 or 5 holes in, I'm like, this is stupid. I'm done. He's not got a chance. He's never won a major championship not being tied for the lead or in the lead on Sunday. And literally, the rest of the group just came back to him. He didn't have to do much. He made 4 bogeys on Sunday. Like,
it's crazy.
He wasn't out there shooting 64. Like, he was just kind of plotting his way around. And I don't know if you noticed this, and someone should, and maybe it'll be me, but write kind of an expose on this. Like, every time anybody in his group was hitting his shot, he was in their eyesight, whether he was just a little bit ahead and to the right of Molinari, or he was a little bit behind and to the side of Finau. And then when both Finau and Molinari hit it in the water on that par 3, Tiger just walks up into the middle of the green and stands there and waits for them to hit from the drop zone. And I'm like, he was literally standing in the middle of that green wearing this bright red shirt, just waiting on those guys to hit their third shots. Like, come on, guys, I got a birdie putt. Let's go.
He's something else. He definitely knows he intimidates the rest of the competition.
He'll have that until he retires. So now, when you play golf, are you playing from the back tees?
I am not playing from the back tees. I am not the greatest golfer, although I spent the last month in Florida, working the trade, so I could hopefully play with some of the fans. I could probably shoot about a 90, so not too bad, but definitely not from the back tees range.
As long as you're playing golf, that's all I care about.
Exactly. Yeah, the from the back tees is more representative of the professionals who play from the back tees, more so than the bad golfer who started the website from the back tees.
So I love your logo. Who designed that? Tell me a little bit more about that design process.
So the logo was designed, actually, it was mostly designed by myself and one of my friends. We just came up with the idea, and then, of course, we're not graphic designers, so we went on over to Fiverr. Free plug for Fiverr, where we got someone to do it for $10 basically, but it's just a golf ball with the FTBT in the middle, and the T was replaced with a golf tee.
Pretty straightforward, huh?
Yeah, pretty straightforward, but it was definitely a process trying to come up with a new one. It seems easy, but then when you're actually doing it, nothing seems right.
So you're north of the border. Tell me about the golf scene and some of the best courses in Quebec.
Yeah, so golf is opening up next week, which is exciting. We don't have too much golf, but my home club is Elmridge Country Club, and there's also like Royal Montreal, which they've held the Canadian Open at, Hillsborough Golf Club. Yeah, besides those, there's not too many around here.
Hey there, it's Gabe Aloisi from Private Club Radio. If you are in the private club business, meaning you're a manager, you're a membership director, you sit on the board of directors, and you want to be entertained and educated, we have a weekly show on Mondays here on the Golf Radio Network. It's called Private Club Radio, and it's just for you. You can give it a listen over at privateclubradio.com or subscribe wherever podcasts are heard.
Tell me more about the podcast and how often do you guys produce new episodes? What sort of content's being created? Just give us a 20,000-foot view of what your podcast is all about.
Yeah, so the podcast, it's very exciting that we're starting it. It's me and Jerry. We host it twice a week. We release it every Tuesday or Wednesday, as well as every Saturday. So the first half on the Tuesday and Wednesday is previewing the upcoming event, as well as a lot of going off topic. And the second episode is basically exclusively going off topic. We like to act like we're going to talk about golf, start talking about golf, and then it goes into long tangents and we end up talking about a lot of nonsense. But hopefully we're going to have some interviews on there soon with some pretty big names, hopefully some big Canadian golfers. Could work that Canadian connection.
Love that. I've had a couple of Canadian players on this show, so if there's any way I can help connect the guys, I would love to be a part of that.
For sure.
What golf ball are you currently playing?
I'm currently playing basically any golf ball because, like I said, I'm not good enough to be able to tell the difference. If you want to hear my take on the whole thing, I don't know if we have time for this.
Oh, yeah, we
I
do.
think-
Let
it's
it out.
I think it's a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo, this golf stuff. I think the professionals could tell a difference, but unless you're like some great golfer, I don't think many people could either tell the difference or that the difference has any effect on your actual score.
Now, that's interesting because I am a decent golfer. I mean, I'm a 5 index. I'm single digit. And I feel like I can honestly tell a difference. And I feel like the Pro V1 for me in my game reacts the best, feels the best, and performs the best around the greens. The Callaway I like, but it's not quite as good. It might be even longer than the Pro V1, but the Pro V1 spins more for me around the greens. I've played the cut golf ball, which is a great concept, but I just can't look at it. I have about 2 more dozen left, and I'm working my way through them. But the idea behind the cut golf ball is enough to get me to want to play it. I've played a couple of the Volvic. It feels like a rock coming off the club face. I've played the Vice golf ball, which is really well done. I've not had a chance to get my hands on a dozen of the Kirkland ball, but I did get a sleeve of both versions of that, and it's basically a Pro V1 with a different logo on it.
The Kirklands are the Costco brand.
Yes.
Yeah, see, those are much cheaper. And like you're saying, they're basically the same, just with a different logo.
So the rules of golf changed earlier this year. You can leave the pin in now when you putt. You get different OB rules. You've got a whole bunch of different things to take into consideration. Sounds like you don't play a ton of golf, but what are your thoughts on some of these rules that changed earlier this year?
So I'm a big fan of the flag stick rule, as I think now, especially for recreationals, they're going to be leaving the flag in more, which should speed up the pace of play, as well as I also think it's pretty well proven that it actually will help to leave the flag stick in. Although I know a lot of the professionals are leaving it out, which is sort of a different story because, I mean, they're playing thousands of rounds a year. They're so used to seeing it that way. So it could have an effect on them. But for the recreational player, it should definitely play to their advantage.
What is the weekly preview all about?
The weekly preview is just an article each week previewing that week's events. Now it's going to be written by our guy Dan, who's going to be giving a DFS perspective, a DraftKings perspective on the whole thing.
People can subscribe to a newsletter on your website. What sort of content are you putting into those, and how often are you emailing subscribers?
So I guess originally I'll point out that we're only sending emails about 2 to 3 times a month because I know nothing's worse than getting spam emails. We're only going to be sending emails when there's either new merch being released along with coupon codes, because if you want new merch, you could find it. And honestly, the only reason you're probably opening it is if there's a discount to it. We're also going to be promoting our podcast or any new articles or any new writers we have joining the staff.
That's cool. And I like it that you include those promo codes because I hate paying full price for anything. But if you give me a little bit of a discount, it feels like I'm getting a deal and I'm in.
Exactly.
So golf news is not hard to find. Where do you find your news, and what sort of news are you focused on reporting? Because we talked about the what's in the bag. Everybody's got a what's in the bag post. Everybody's talking about who shot 7 under yesterday. So how are you differentiating your content from everyone else?
Yeah, so I mean, our news, we don't, obviously, like you said, there's the mainstream media and everyone could find Tiger won the Masters, Rory did this guy shot a low round. But for us, it's more about finding the unique content or the humorous content. So a lot of that we'll either find through Golf Reddit or the fact that now we have 6 guys on the team and we have a group chat and we'll be sending it between ourselves if someone sees something that they think we should write about. We work pretty well as a team in that sense, sharing all the information. We also have like our Golf Babes of the Week, which is mostly through Instagram, and we'll try and reach out to them and see if they want to be included to give a different spin on things. So it's not just the regular run-of-the-mill media.
Tell me more about those power rankings. I mean, Tiger should pretty much live at the top, right?
You're not wrong. I think I had him at number 3 now, but that's we know power rankings is all the rave nowadays, whether it's the NFL, NHL, since I'm Canadian, NBA, everyone's big into power rankings. So one of our guys, Nolan, came up with the idea of we should all give our top 10 lists, and through it we get an aggregate score ranking the top 10 golfers. And I feel like people are interested to see others' perspective on who's the best, especially now where there's so many guys you could consider number 1.
So Tiger wins the Masters. That's a big deal. It's a big deal for more than just the game of golf. That's a big deal for his career and what we think of what's next for his career. So the question is usually, what is your favorite PGA Tour major? So I'm going to shift this a little bit. Now that he's won the Masters, he's proven that he could win all 4 at once, having completed the Tiger Slam many years ago. Do you think he could maybe win all 4 this year? I mean, he's the only guy that can. Do you think he can get it done and win the Grand Slam this year?
That's not wrong. He is the only guy that can. I think maybe he's just going to keep winning for the rest of his career. He might just win like 30 in a row now. No, but in all honesty, I don't think he's going to be able to win the Slam. Like you sort of mentioned, winning this one, he didn't really dominate the competition like he had in the past. He didn't stay ahead of the field like we've seen from him so many times. He sort of got it handed to him, which isn't a bad thing. He still won the Masters, and I could definitely see him winning one more, but I think it would be like quite the miracle if he managed to win the next 3.
I don't know. He's got Pebble. He's got Bethpage. I actually played Royal Portrush last year. If he even takes driver, he's not going to make the cut. So let's just make sure that he gets a couple. I don't know. Portrush is going to be a tough challenge for him.
Yeah. They're all going to be tough with Bethpage being the PGA.
That'll be here before you know it, too. I mean, that's only a couple of weeks away, it seems.
Yeah.
Now, okay, answer the question. What's your favorite PGA major? I mean, that's like a bonus. You just got 2 questions for 1.
That's hilarious that you bring this up. It was actually, I just recorded our own podcast about 20 minutes ago, and the same question was just asked. I'm going to give the same answer and go with the Masters, even though I got scolded for it, for having preferential treatment.
No, wait a minute. Why did you get scolded? I mean, the Masters is pretty special.
Yeah, I know. I was told it was more the argument that they were all equal and that is one more valuable. And to me, I feel like the Masters is, since it's always played at the same course. There's so much history behind it. And I don't know. To me, it's like that's what I remember when I was growing up, like really young. You'd see the green jacket. That was the big event.
They're not all equal because there are some that are played at courses that are just silly. Phil Mickelson proved that last year with his little putt run, and I don't even know what you call what he did, but it's not all equal. And I get it that people like to watch tough golf courses, and I do think that there should be a major or 2 majors a year where the winning score is 1 or 2 under or even over par. But don't make it silly to where it's so hard it's comical. I mean, we need to be focused on these players playing. The distance is also an issue. I mean, these courses are getting to the point where there are par 4s that are longer than par 5s that you and I play. But you're right. Augusta is Augusta, and the scores are lower than what I'd like, but it's a course that Tiger could win there until he's 60.
For sure. He could just keep winning. That's what I'm saying. Masters, it wouldn't surprise me if he won a couple more.
I mentioned Phil and Tiger. The match. It's been a few months now, but that was horrendous. Did you watch it, and do you have any thoughts on that circus?
I watched it. It was a horrendous showing. I thought there would be side bets from Gambling Phil the whole time, but I'm pretty sure there was a side bet on the first 2 holes, and then they just decided to not talk for the next 3 hours.
I wanted it to be like an all-out brawl. I didn't want there to be anybody on the golf course except for them, their caddies, and some camera guys. I wanted them to be throwing punches almost, and it was not that. They're just walking down the fairway talking about their kids, and that's not at all what I was pitched and sold by the media.
It was a poor showing, and now apparently they're going to be doing more of it, so hopefully they figure it out.
Oh, I hope it's not Tiger and Phil. I mean, I'm not going to watch it even if they do it again, but make it good. If you're going to do it right.
Exactly.
Do you think Tiger breaks Jack's record? Why or why not?
I do think he breaks it. I'm pretty confident in my answer, although I mean, you never know, but I think Tiger's easily a top 10 golfer in the world, and I don't see that changing anytime soon.
Good answer. What's
Thank you.
next for From the Back Tees? I mean, you got a lot of stuff going on. You're adding staff, you're creating content, but what's next for From the Back Tees?
So our next big ventures, we're trying to come out with a lot of different like comedic shirts. We have one coming shortly. Not a advertisement From the Back Tee logo shirts. Honestly, people don't care to wear our logo. We want to come up with unique ideas. And then also our second big thing is we're going to be trying to bring on lots of interviews onto our podcasts of some interesting personalities. And hopefully we can have you on soon.
That would be really fun because I sit behind this microphone and very rarely do I get to answer questions. And I always like answering questions, but as we were discussing earlier, I also write interviews with bands and DJs on my personal website, my blog. I just posted one a couple of days ago from a cover band from Canada. So there you go, tying in the Canadian connection, called
That's
Best Night Ever. And they recently released a cover song of Michael Jackson's Pretty Young Thing. It is incredible. And I just randomly found it, messaged them on Facebook, yada, 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 and I'm interviewing them, and I just shared that on my website just a couple of days ago. So I just enjoy getting to know people, exposing, their stories and sharing their information with my audience, both here on the podcast as well as on my website. So if you ever want me to come on and you got a spot, I'm in.
For sure. Well, hopefully, maybe not actually this week, but towards the end of the week. Otherwise, early next week, whenever works for you.
In golf, the 19th hole is a slang term for a bar or a restaurant on or near the golf course, very often in the clubhouse itself. This edition of the 19th hole is presented by Les Écoles number 41, a small family-owned artisan winery located in Walla Walla, Washington. Tonight, I'm drinking a bottle of their 2017 Luminesse. It's a white Bordeaux blend with an explosion of tropical fresh fruit on the nose and on the palate. The texture of this bottle is waxy and it's crisp. Lots of floral notes, very lingering and fresh finish. It was like almost 85 degrees here in Santa Rosa today, so this is the perfect wine to be sipping on today. Zach, what is your favorite 19th hole, and what are you drinking?
My favorite hole, I guess, will have to be at Elmridge Country Club, my home course, and I'm going to go, this could be a hot take, with a Moscow Mule.
Moscow Mule, okay, I've never had one, and I was just talking to one of our members yesterday, and he said, hey, let's have a Moscow Mule sometime. What is that, and what do they taste like?
Moscow Mule is it's vodka mixed with ginger beer, which is, I love ginger beer. It's like a better form of ginger ale. No actual beer in it, but it's hard to describe. It's sort of like an alcoholic ginger ale.
Sold. I'm in.
Yeah, that's great.
Zach, thank you again for coming on the podcast. This was fun. It was great learning more about you and what you're doing with From the Back Tees. Your brand is new, and I love what you're creating, and I look forward to what's next, hopefully getting me on the show. That would be fun to have a conversation, and I hope we talk about Tiger. And as you know, to me, Tiger is the GOAT. So thank you for your continued support of him. Keep doing what you're doing, and I look forward to our next discussion.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Ricky.
That puts this installment of the Wednesday Match Play podcast in the books. But we'll be back next week for another exciting episode of the show.